troubled times. Confidential tips and information, call 619-354-3665. We are proud to be syndicated with the popular radio networks, the Spark Radio Network, K98 Talk, Leading Edge Radio Network, Reach Out America Radio, Roar Restoration of America Radio, LibertyTalk.fm, and FreedomizerRadio.com. Yoda, how are you doing today?
I am doing wonderful, excited about the show today, as I am every Saturday. Our spectacular guest today within the lineup is the Lieutenant Colonel Alan B. West. You're sure bringing these celebrity, outstanding, stunning guests on, Backpack. Tell us a little about our guest today, if you will.
Well, our dear friend, Lieutenant Colonel West, he is actually a fellow alumni from the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, where I graduated as well. And we're privileged to work with Colonel West. He's sharing insider experience about national security, foreign policy, and the global war against radical Islam. He is the president and CEO of Dallas-based National Center for Policy Analysis, ncpa.org, and we did a pre-recorded interview with him yesterday that we're going to play for our audience.
We recorded in order to accommodate the good Colonel's schedule. He's constantly appearing on Fox News now and elsewhere. He's doing the right thing. The Colonel is indeed a leader, a soldier's soldier. We soldiers would say we would follow him into hell to put out the fire. Let's go with a recording.
Welcome to Voices of Global Freedom Special Edition. We are privileged and proud to have with us Lieutenant Colonel West, United States Army retired. Who will share his insider experience about national security, foreign policy, and the global war against radical Islam and other threats to America. He is the president and CEO of Dallas-based National Center for Policy Analysis, ncpa.org. Over to you, Yoda.
The good Colonel is the soldier's soldier. I'm personally interested in his views on President Obama pulling our troops out of Iraq now, sending 450 over without a forward air controller in the bunch. Good afternoon, Colonel.
Hey, how you guys doing? It's good to be with you, Yoda and Backpack. Well, I will tell you that it will probably go down as the greatest military blunder in history to completely have zeroed out our forces that were there and not to listen to your commanding generals on the ground and their request for a residual force. You know, anytime that you think that a campaign promise and campaign rhetoric is more important than, sound national security strategy, you get exactly what you have in Iraq, where you created the vacuum. Al-Qaeda in Iraq would have been defeated, as reconstituted as ISIS, and we don't have a plan. We don't have a strategy. 450 troops, that is not a strategy. If anything, as I said before, it's a band-aid on a sucking chest wound. So, we don't have a task and purpose. We don't have a command and control structure, and it is really what those of us in the military hate. That's called mission creep.
Unbelievable. What's his idea of sending 450-odd troops over, Colonel? What do you think?
Well, the idea is it's a facade of doing something when actually you are doing nothing. Because 450 more troops on top of the 3,000 that we already have there, they have not stopped ISIS's advance. They have not adequately trained the Iraqi forces. As a matter of fact, we now have more of our forces over there that are being, having trained Iraqis. I mean, I think you only have about
why don't we have forward air controllers in Iraq fighting ISIS?
I don't think that this administration, which I believe most of the military decisions are being made by General Jarrett, who has, I guess, immense amounts of operational and tactical military experience, knows what they're doing. The fact that they are just running about 14 to 20 sorties a day, that's below anemic. And you read the reports, many of the pilots are complaining about the restrictive rules of engagement and the fact that they're coming back with full ordnance, after they have flown a mission. Well, if you don't have those eyes on the ground that can properly laze and identify targets, that's what's going to occur. So you don't have the forward air controllers because in the mindset of the Obama administration, that means they're back in combat operations. And they just have such a recalcitrance and a reticence to say that they were wrong in pulling all the troops out and that they have to re-engage. And so now, the big word coming out of Washington, D.C., I was just up there this past week for a few days, is that, Iraq is lost and it might as well be partitioned into three different areas, the Kurdish area, the Sunni area, and the Shia area. That did not have to be the case. This is something that the president has done, and now President Obama is responsible for destabilizing two countries in that region, Libya and now Iraq.
You see him going for Saudi Arabia, Colonel?
Well, the Saudis are outcutting their own deals, and as a matter of fact, there are reports I've read in Times of Israel and a few others that Saudi Arabia is talking with Pakistan about getting a nuclear weapon because they're not going to sit back and allow Iran to get that type of capability or capacity. The Saudis are talking with the other Gulf Cooperation Council states such as the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Oman, because they're not going to sit back and watch these incredibly militant, barbaric Islamists take over. ISIS is already running suicide bomb attacks in Saudi Arabia, so they realize that the little Frankenstein monster that they have allowed to grow, they got to do something about. So watch and see if you all of a sudden have a very unique alliance between Egypt, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and Israel.
One of a kind, first time in my word. It's a fast track, Colonel. Where do you see the caliphate really going as we're the United States doing so little?
Well, right now, when you think about it, ISIS has, control of a large swath of territory in Iraq and Syria and also establishing itself in Libya. They have a command and control structure. They have ministries. They are establishing a state. They're establishing trade, because the oil that they are, pirating, they're selling it through Turkey. And so they're establishing themselves. And there's a reason why, recent reports that Al-Qaeda is going bankrupt and having to sell off assets because ISIS seems like the winning team. They're not hiding away in caves or anything like that. They're out front. They're out, they're taking over territory. They're marching along and the captured equipment that they have with their flags, right? So they have become a distinguishable state, and they're recruiting in close to 100 different countries all across the globe. As a matter of fact, we just had an 18-year-old in Manassas, Virginia, who was brought up on charges and pled guilty to conspiracy to, support terrorism, funding ISIS, recruited for ISIS, an 18-year-old.
Well, 1/4 of the world's people are Muslim indeed. What are the spec ops people really doing trying to train this enemy, Colonel?
Well, nothing, because none of them are being trained right now, and that's what we're told, that the new 450 that are going over, they're going to reestablish a base in Anbar province when the last base in Anbar province was abandoned al-Assad because of ISIS taking over Ramadi. So, I just don't know if a lot of this country, the American people, are paying attention to what is
Afghanistan. What were some of your experiences?
Well, I was down in southern Afghanistan working with the 205th Afghan National Army Corps, getting them stood up and getting them placed out in the surrounding provinces, not just out of Kandahar, Zabul province, Uruzgan, and also Kandahar. So I had some great experiences there in 2005, 2007, but when we transitioned to the NATO leadership down in southern Afghanistan, I saw a lot of the gains that had been made. We lost them because we went away from, really taking the fight to the enemy and driving the Taliban away to, Kandahar became responsibility of the Canadians. Helmand was responsibility of the British. Uruzgan was responsibility of the Dutch. And Zabul province was the responsibility of the Romanians. And, each one of those different countries had their respective rules of engagement and support agreements. And that's not how you fight a war. And so the enemy was very apt in finding the gaps by which they could exploit us. And that's what they did. We have to be focused on defeating the enemy first and foremost before into this other folly of nation building, which I absolutely hate. In that part of the world, in the Middle East or Afghanistan, Pakistan, it's tribal in nature, and the only thing they recognize is strength and might. It's not about building schools, repairing roads, and all this type of thing, although I was very pleased to see little girls be able to go to school, but you got to be able to defeat the enemy first.
Totally agree, Colonel. I've traveled the Middle East, traveled Morocco to Egypt, and throughout the peninsula. They've been at it 1,500 years. I don't see them changing at all. What are your thoughts on our continuous nation building and creating democracy, sir?
I think that's a false objective. I'm not looking at trying to make a country like the United States of America. What I think the most important thing is to convey the message that if you allow the enemy within your borders, we're going to come in there, we're going to root them out. We have to be very specific in defining what the enemy is. It's not a war on terror. It's a war against Islamic fascism or Islamic totalitarianism or jihadism. And it's a global movement, and we have to be able to see it that way. So it is not about, going out there and saying, well, we're going to, have you write a new constitution. I just want to make sure that you hear us more than you hear them, so that you don't give them a base and a place of sanctuary.
Our insiders, we've got some wonderful insiders. We've been at this a long time. Believe and hold that Obama will continue the non-course that he's been on. We don't see him changing at all, Colonel.
Well, no, of course he's not. We have a president that is a very intransigent ideologue, and for whatever reason, he lives in a bubble world where he thinks that everything is going great. Maybe according to his plan, it's going great, but not according to any, real true measure of effectiveness. Our economy is anemic. When you have an annualized GDP growth over the time he's been president of less than 2%, we are failing as far as our energy capability, the oil and natural gas that we have. We should be producing, manufacturing it, exporting it, using it ourselves, but we're not. And our tax policies that we have, it's horrific. And we continue to hear about, punishing, those people who are going out there and trying to be a part of the opportunity society and opportunity economy because they want, more dependency.
Backpack, we are voices. Pick it up.
Voice of Global Freedom, exclusive interview with Lieutenant Colonel Alan B. West, United States Army retired. Colonel, and what are some of your experiences about where is ISIS going?
Well, ISIS is going to continue to go wherever it seems that they want to go. They're going to continue to expand. Their recruiting is picking up, and in their mindset, they're being successful. And truthfully, that's, pretty much how people see it. So I think that, as they see that situation deteriorating in Iraq, they're going to try to capitalize on that and build an Islamic caliphate based upon there. And they don't feel that they have to stop. So, they're going to turn their eyes toward Jordan because they don't respect secular Islamic leadership, toward Lebanon. Of course,
continue to so-called negotiate with Iran, with the Ayatollah claiming death to America. They recently said that anything about Israel not being destroyed is off the table. What's his name breaking his leg on a bloody bicycle? Do you see they're getting nuclear weapons inevitable?
Yeah, I do. I mean, unfortunately, we know that they have had a 20% increase in the enrichment of uranium while we were, quote-unquote, going through these talks. And now we're finding out that they will be able to keep, upwards to about or above 5,000 centrifuges operating. And we're just giving up to them. They have 4 Americans hostage. Jason Resnian of the Washington Post, Saeed Abedini, a Christian pastor, Amir Hekmati, a former United States Marine, and Robert Levinson, who is from, near where I used to live out South Florida, Coral Springs, Florida, I believe CIA worker. There should be no talks as long as you're holding Americans. There should be no talks as long as you're continue your belligerence of how they are seeking to expand their dominance. They control Sinai, Yemen, they control Baghdad, Iraq, they control Beirut, Lebanon, they control Damascus, Syria. So, these guys are once again on the offense. And to show the lack of trust and regard that Saudi Arabia and others in the Middle East have, we were only given 2 hours notice from the Saudis that they were going to bomb the Houthi rebels supported by Iran in Yemen. If they really believed in us and that we were a good ally, I think that we would have been working together. And the fact that 4 out of 6 Gulf Cooperation Council state leaders decided not to attend the Middle Eastern Summit, as a matter of fact, the King of Bahrain decided to go to a horse race with the Queen Elizabeth. That shows you how they feel about us. And that shows you, how this march is going to continue on.
One of our friends, a senior lady in Atlanta, your old hometown, Eleanor, before the program, has asked, as have others, backtrack, hats off to him, has pre-promoted your stunning appearance with us. And we've got a lot of questions about what you're up to now, sir.
Yeah, I'm working with the National Center for Policy Analysis in Dallas, Texas. We are a 31-year-old conservatively marked policy center think tank. We look in matters, areas of policy, entitlement, education, energy, healthcare, and national security. And we appreciate you following us at www.ncpa.org and also supporting us. We're about to kick off a national grassroots campaign this week where we're looking for 10,000 people across the United States of America to become $25 or $50 donors to the NCPA.
How can we help you?
Well, spread that word. The actual campaign kicks off next Tuesday, and we want to be able to have 10,000 new monthly donors to the NCPA by the 4th of July, and we call it become one of the 1 in 10,000, and it follows the incredible campaign and the trek that the Greek mercenary army being led by Xenophon after the campaign against Artaxerxes II in 401 to 399 BC. It's called the March of the 10,000. We want 10,000 people to march with us through the ideological territory so we can restore this great republic. So, be on the lookout for that. But again, we're looking for 10,000 monthly donors for the next 6 months at $25 to $50, and we will send people out a very special, very nice pen and lapel pen, and that campaign kicks off next week, Tuesday.
We're all in with you. I'll talk with you off there. Our sister magazine, MagnifiedView.com, has millions of visitors. It's 5 years young. We work closely with our radio program, Voices of Global Freedom, and the MagnifiedView.com. If you will, sir, I'll give you off for about a campaign. We'll start for you. We are non-monetized. By that, we're fortunate in doing what we damn well please with both magazine and the radio program. So we want to go on with you.
Oh, well, let's do it.
Good on you, sir. What else would do like the cover, Colonel. What do we need?
Well, that's about it. I'll tell you what, it's been a talking to you, but I think the most important thing is we got to get people engaged and knowledgeable about what is happening in our country, and we want to identify folks so they can make the right decisions come election time. And so again,
are you endorsing anyone?
www.ncpa.org. That's for policy analysis. And again, become one of 10,000 and join us in our national grassroots campaign so we can get to do the great policy work that we do here for the past 31 years. So that's it for me.
Thomas, are you endorsing anyone on the Republican side?
Oh, no, it's way too early. We still got 4 more people that look like they're going there now. So, because we're a 501(c)(3), I can't, publicly endorse anyone. I just want to see one that is ready to step up and be a strong commander. We need a Churchill.
I've got to ask you, do you have any thoughts of being pushed into the race?
Look, I am very pleased and honored that, God would have called and given me this position here at NCPA, but, I will always be a humble and obedient servant to God and country.
Well, as we are. Not flattering, Colonel. I don't do that. It's silly and stupid. Compliments are due when they are. In Backpack's pre-promotion of your appearance, which everyone almost has asked if you're running for president in Washington, don't they?
Yeah, I'm Eleanor in Atlanta. She wants you to run, and she's a huge fan, among many of other millions of fans.
All towns, stop around. I'm a graduate of Henry Grady High School. I went to the University of Tennessee just like you did, Backpack. And it's a pleasure to have folks that want to trust me.
Colonel, thanks for the appearance, for gracing us. We're going to get you on again if you will. Off you go once again to save the Republic, save for democracy. We thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Airborne.
All the way.
Thank you, sir. This is Backpack. We want to tell you about ImpactAnalytics.com, one of our close friends. What are your thoughts about Impact Analytics?
Impact Analytics in Florida, ImpactAnalytics.com, like it sounds, has something for everybody conservative. I work with the Chief Executive Officer, Tim Kalin, back in the U.S. Embassy bombing in Beirut and the follow-on Marine barracks bombing. Take a look at Tim's web. Probably something there for you conservative patriots. Tell Tim that Yoda in Backpack said to give him a buzz. Call him up. Tim Kalin, Impact Analytics in Florida. Thanks, Backpack.
Please also go check out his other website called punchingbagpost.com. It's the greatest conservative news from around the world. Wonderful website, and it's punchingbagpost.com.
Was that an incredible interview or what?
Yeah, it really was. And one of the key ingredients that Lieutenant Colonel Allen West was about nation building. And Yoda, I think the United States should do more nation building and spreading democracy. Only here in the United States.
As good Colonel West pointed out, we need some nation building here at home, don't we, Backpack?
Amen to that. And never mind anywhere else. Let's focus on it doesn't matter about other parts of the world. We really need United States nation building. We continue to nation build, spreading democracy in the Middle East and Arabian Peninsula, and it simply does not work.
Can't be. The Quran specifically forbids a democracy other than a theocracy, which it is. It's the damnedest thing. Observe that our hierarchical, I love saying that, our hierarchical entity, the magnifiedview.com, its founding editor-in-chief, Jana Rama, insists that we get on top echelon guests, and we give them an opportunity on the podium. We don't need to hear each other talk. That's not why we're on conservative talk radio. As opposed to their other appearances, like on Fox News, where some anchor introduces them, then talks for 5 minutes, asks them one question, and out of here. Our fearless leader, firm hand at the helm, John Arama, insists that we provide them with a podium. It's working really well for us, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who else is on our lineup or recently had been back there?
Well, we've had numerous wonderful people, General Paul Vallely, and we've also had, we could have started a General's Club, General Adino. We're looking to have him back, General Johnny Michel. So many, we've got so many people, the Michael Connolly, who's, we've got an incredible coming up, Extortion 17. We're going to have a expose, an exclusive on that, what's going on with the latest. What are your knowledge about where Extortion 17 is going?
It was the ambush set up now, incredible cover-up of the shoot down of 30 American special operators, special forces operators, including 22 SEALs, some of which were committed to the raid on bin Laden. So it's just chock full of setup, suspicion, and now continuous cover-up. Our dear friend Charlie Strange and his wonderful wife Mary out of Philadelphia have led the pack in exposing this. They're working with an advocate attorney, Mr. Clayman, here out of Orange County, successfully suing the federal government. They're suing the head of NSA and Vice President Biden. It's moving along pretty well now. We're having the author of a recent book, Extortion 17, on maybe next week. It's moving right along. I want to mention back to the good colonel and his, what's the name of his organization again, please?
It's the National Center for Policy, ncpa.org is the website to go check out.
We're going to rope in a couple of our columnists. That would be Dauntless Don and Stunning Sandra. They're Phoenix-based. They combined have a hell of a Rolodex. They know almost everybody, and we're going to rope in our columnists, Dauntless Don and Stunning Sandra, to assist in this noble cause.
Yeah, we're excited to work with NCPA. We did get a question out of Seattle, Washington, or a statement really. They wanted to say, how much has been wasted of our current $18 trillion debt on nation building and bad attempts at nation building? But they want to also point out, is that $18 trillion debt's going to be passed on to our children and our grandchildren? You know, what do you think about that statement? Wow.
Well, sure it is. Drudge Report today had a headline above the fold, if you fold it, which is that Sir somebody out of London, a stock guy, a noted economist, said and backed it up with an article that I read that we ought to be taking cash and hiding it under our mattress. Lord knows the money we've wasted now in the Middle East. Moreover, the lives that we've so far wasted to no avail there. We continue to do this. Nobody, I don't think general accounting could figure out what percentage of the trillions we've devoted to this succession of war, other aid for international development, the notorious AID that throws money everywhere except to the needy people here. So Lord knows, my man, what percentage that might be. It's huge. It's trillions anyway.
Yeah, we have to reel it in, and I think everybody should be thinking in terms of our children and our grandchildren, you know, where all this is going, because it's going to get passed on to the next generations. Also, please check out our friend, Lieutenant Colonel Alan B. West, his president and CEO of Dallas-based National Center for Policy Analysis, ncpa.org. What a wonderful organization. We're really honored to work with them.
Well, our founding fearless leader Janorama clearly has us on the right track. The show is growing exponentially leaps and bounds, certainly due to the high caliber, informative, and entertaining guests that we have on. What a lineup. Credit goes to you, my brother, for rounding up and booking these guests. You're doing a hell of a job with it. And as Janorama dictates, we provide them with a podium. We don't do the other so-called news outlets of allowing them 2 minutes and one question. Recently, there were 3 general officers on a program on Fox. There was General McInerney, former Lieutenant General of the Air Force. There were 2 other famous generals. They sat there like, see no evil, hear no evil in that one. And they were literally introduced by the anchor, who took up a lot of minutes giving her opinion of the war, and then asked them each one question. They appeared stunned. Well, we thank our editor-in-chief for providing the platform with our magazine, magnifiedview.com. So the insider, the real guys that know what they're talking about, and gals, can come on and inform and even entertain our audience better.
We've also heard insider information from the generals that they could completely wipe out ISIS within 30 days. If they were given command and control, ISIS would not even be in our vernacular after 1 month. Can you believe that? Wow.
Well, it's absurd. The Pentagon has strategic plans for everything. Years ago, I was privy to one. It was classified on how we would react to an attack in the southwestern states from Mexico. I can't imagine how many strategic comprehensive plans, war plans, order of battle, that our Pentagon has provided our commander-in-chief. I'm trying to get sarcasm in saying commander-in-chief, to attack ISIS. And he claims not to have a strategic plan. Well, that's him. It's certainly not these generals in the Pentagon, brother.
Yeah, it's really amazing times that we're living in. I want to say thank you to our chat room. We have Miggy Mom and Luchadora who are chatting away in the chat room. One question that came up that Luchadora wants to ask is, what about Obama is using ISIS to overthrow Bashar Assad in Syria? What's left of Syria? What are your thoughts, Yoda?
It is complex and confusing. We're on all sides of that. In Syria, we're literally working with Iran. In Iraq, we're fighting Iran. So it's really a complex issue that would take 4 programs to confuse everybody about. It's a hell of a question. Bottom line, you can't vet, you can't confirm or background anyone out of the Middle East. President Obama at the moment is bringing in tens of thousands of Somalis, Iraqis, Afghanis, well understood by Joint Terrorism Task Force that many of these, at least 10% of these, are sworn, dedicated, trained, experienced terrorists. He's bringing them in on phony asylum, spreading them around the country, sprinkling them in medium and large-sized cities, providing them with housing, education, medical care, pocket money, and cell phones, knowing that some percentage of these are flat experienced terrorists. Great question from that chat room. Please call in now. We're completed Colonel West's recorded session, so we're wide open for callers. And our number is...
Feel free to call in 646-652-4667. We have had a caller patiently waiting on the line. Area code 408. Welcome to Voices of Global Freedom. If you'd like to say your name.
408.
Area code 408.
Well, my computer's lighting up now. I'm afraid little smoke's going to come out of there after the Colonel West interview.
Yeah, it looks like they were standing by to, sometimes people call in to listen to the show, and they're listening patiently. So we encourage callers to speak out and let us know what your thoughts are.
Under John Arama's direction, we've deferred sponsors, we've deferred friends and commercials, advertisements, if you will, for people that are friends of ours. She's directed that while we have these stunning, informative guests on, we don't interrupt that with commercials. What about energy cost savings, Backpack?
Yeah, we're going to take a short break, and we're going to tell you about Energy Efficiency Pros, EE Pros. Energy Efficiency Pros, EE Pros, solutions that save you money. Are you a commercial business looking to reduce costs on your energy bill? Replacing traditional light bulbs with LED results in tremendous savings every month. Commercial, industrial, and manufacturing facilities from coast to coast are saving up to 90% on their skyrocketing costs of energy. Energy costs are rising every month, but using EE Pros lighting saves money, time, and will bring you happier employees and customers. For a free audit and evaluation of your facility, contact or email Don Arrigo, president of EE Pros, 480-9161, 480-585-9161. Tell Don that Backpack of Voices of Global Freedom Radio referred you. Yoda, have you had some experience with this?
I have. We've done it again. The President Obama continues to promise that energy rates are going to skyrocket, and sure enough, they are. People sit around worrying about 0.0001% in this absurd climate change, while rates skyrocket for businesses, for corporations, for industry. I spoke with a large hospital with a huge parking lot in and around, I think Chicago, that are saving a stunning 86% on their energy bill.
Wow.
I talked to another one out here in California. They're saving 80 percentile in their overall energy bill. What a trip.
Wow.
Give Brother Arrigo a buzz at...
Go visit eepros.com. I say again, eepros.com.
My computer is lighting up with compliments, questions, comments about the good Colonel West's appearance. Good on him. We're going to continue with him on and off air on a regular basis, of course.
Yeah, we're excited to work with ncpa.org and also Lieutenant Colonel Alan B. West. One of the things that came up was about the North Korean dictator is this fat, drunk, funny guy with a weird haircut. He's obviously 5150, and for the people who might not know, what does a 5150 mean?
A lot of things start in California, a lot of law enforcement vernacular and jargon. 5150 is a statute for the mentally ill. So in law enforcement, we use that to characterize a subject that is mentally ill. Many prisoners out of state prisons and federal prisons have the tattoo 5150. That's actually what it means. They're nuts.
Right. One of the things that's funny is they came out with that movie Interview, and there's a whole thing with Sony having to ban it because North Korea got upset, or or other unknown people, and so they had to pull the movie. But when you look at the guy, you just have to laugh every time he's on TV, or he just looks like this comical, funny guy, and it'll be interesting to see as the days go along whether he'll get kicked out by the military, because he's so outrageous, and he's got the largest Scotch collection in the world. It looks like it's possible the military might say, we've had enough with you. We don't even care that you're related to the grand poobah from years ago. You're out. You know, what are your thoughts?
There was a time when I could have tapped into his scotch glass. But now I'm on to coffee shops. I'm a big coffee shop guy. What's downline? I'd like to make a smooth, seamless segue. Well, we never do that, but I want to talk about de-policing. What that means. Police departments across the country now, the local cops and the sheriffs, are under assault by President Obama and his administration. It triggered last time by the Ferguson fiasco. Then it went to the Baltimore buffoonery. It's here now. Cops on the street, the guys and gals that really save citizens, operate in two ways. Way number one is they say they're chasing the radio. That means the reporting party is subject called dispatch and somehow needs a beat guy to show up to handle everything from a neighbor's wind chimes that are too loud through homicides. So a part of their day, depending on where they are, is answering those calls for service or, in the vernacular, chasing the radio. When they're not doing that, they're looking around for bad guys. They didn't listen to their mother, like Eleanor in Atlanta, when she told them not to look for trouble. They're supposed to look for trouble. But with the assault on them now, they can't do anything right. In the past 48 hours in New Orleans, an officer was killed with his own gun. He was transporting a prisoner to jail. The prisoner somehow slipped his cuffs. That's cop talk for getting out of his handcuffs. Grabbed the officer's gun and killed him out of hand. You won't hear a word about this, of course, from the administration. Nor have you heard a word about now it's up to 70 homicides since the Charleston tragedy a couple nights ago. You won't hear about the 70-plus other homicides now. President Obama will capitalize, exploit this, and come on air talking about gun control again. I've never seen an administration this hard trying to destroy the local police as he is. It's pretty effective so far. He's got something like 21 countries with Department of Justice stepping on their neck, restraining them. For example, in Cleveland, the street cops have to make a report every time they drop their weapon. This, of course, takes them off the street, puts them in the police station, making out endless forms. So with that, we have made friends with a fabulous guy. He is retired Lieutenant Randy Sutton of the Las Vegas Police Department. Won the Valor Award. He was an officer in Princeton, and I accuse him of getting bored with running around with the birds tweeting, looking at college girls. He transferred to a heavy action police department, Las Vegas, where he was involved, obviously successfully, in 4 or 5 gunfights, firefights, survived those. Won the award for valor. They don't come in cereal boxes. And now heads up an organization called Defending the Shield. We are backing up the good Lieutenant Sutton 120%. We're all in with him. I used to tell people if they were in trouble, they might want to call a hippie. Now I tell them if they're in trouble, as happened in Baltimore, when the mayor endorsed the Crips gang, the Bloods gang, and an Islamic gang to, in effect, police their streets. So now I tell them next time they're in trouble, they're going to call the Crips gang. That's not going to work out, is it?
No, that's anarchy at that point. And that's where Voice of Global Freedom with MagnifiedView.com. We work together to bring analysis of news you can use, actionable tactics, methods, strategies to survive and thrive in these dangerous, troubled times. We're bringing the news, and we are so fortunate and to work with so many great people, such as Lieutenant Randy Sutton. Please go check out his website, defendingtheshield.org. And we're going to go ahead and play a interview that we had with him fairly recently to get an update with how he's doing. And he is working hard. He's been on Fox and Friends numerous times, and he's got many books. Please go check out his books on Amazon. You'll find it if you search on Randy Sutton. So we're going to go ahead and play his interview in a little bit.
Randy's going to talk about de-policing. It means de-policing. What that means is previously the good guys and gals would look for trouble ferreting out bad guys. They're really reasonably afraid to do that now. Police work isn't pretty. Arrests are never pretty. A phenomena is no matter who you arrest in the eyes of the public. You could arrest bin Laden in costume with a broadsword, and the public would side with bin Laden. So now they're at risk civilly. They might lose their home, their car to this nonsense. Hell, as in Baltimore, they might be put in jail. So they reasonably have to slow down on catching bad guys. Bad guys are well aware of this, and they've upped their activity enormously. Hundreds of percentiles of increased crime throughout the country now, and arrests are down because they're no longer able to catch bad guys. Arrests are down in the 50 and 60 and more percentiles. So, like to hear what Randy's saying about de-policing, bro.
Yeah, we're excited. This is part 2 of a series, and check out, if you Google Voices of Global Freedom on YouTube, you'll see numerous of our interviews that we've got. And so without further ado, we're going to catch up with Lieutenant Randy Sutton. We are proud to be with so many numerous networks. And Yoda, how are you doing today?
Doing great. Excited about having our lead Save the Republic, Save for Democracy guy on. I mean that, Lieutenant Sutton. Lieutenant, I heard a rumor that you're giving away books on Amazon. Is that a worthwhile rumor?
That is the truth. It's for 1 weekend only, this coming weekend, on Mother's Day. It's my book, The Power of Legacy, Personal Heroes to America's Most Inspiring People. I'm doing this for, well, the main reason is this, because America needs heroes and needs to believe that heroes exist, and they do. But we don't hear about them. We hear about the punks in the streets, rampaging through Baltimore. We hear about all the negativity. But there are so many amazing people in the United States that are doing things for others. This book features stories from people like Frank Shankwitz, who created the Make-A-Wish Foundation, Harry Denise, who has touched the lives of so many veterans, even Bill O'Reilly gave me an interview. All these interviews are all about these people's personal heroes. Who inspired them to give back? Who inspired them to become the people that they are and touch the lives of others? So this weekend only, on Amazon, the Kindle version is being given away for free. And because I want as many people as possible to read these stories, to be inspired, and to reach out and touch the lives of others, just as these heroes in this book have done.
You alluded to an important one in our first segment. That's the lack of male mentors, coaches, leaders. Unless they go in the Army, the minorities in their communities simply lack male leadership. There are no factories to go to. There are few trades anymore where you could be an apprentice. And some old crusty guy taught you a lot about being a man. It was interesting that you brought that up earlier. That's certainly true in the military and in law enforcement, as you and I both experienced, isn't it?
Well, so learning to be a man is one of those things that, well, it affects the rest of your life, and it's a tremendous challenge. I mean, who can teach that type of behavior? And what does it mean? You know, that being a man means very different things to very different people. To me, being a man means standing up for what you believe in. It means standing and be willing to fight for the right reasons. It means being a gentleman. It means taking responsibility for yourself and for your family. It means so many different things. It means integrity. It means honesty. It means compassion. It means kindness. But where do you learn this? Where do you learn these skills? You have to begin from your very formative years. That's what family is about. That's what fathers are about. That's what mothers are about. But how do you teach a child these type of values, which will affect them the rest of their life? And unfortunately, I mean, there aren't role models in our lives. And you are at a disadvantage. And we're seeing that in one community where urban environment has revealed that there is lack of a male presence in the family. Now, Bill O'Reilly talks about this all the time. And while I don't agree with everything that Bill O'Reilly says, in this particular topic, I think he's right on. There has to be male mentorship. There has to be a male presence in the family. And this is where the divorce rate amongst the country has affected us. This is where one-parent households has touched this. And we're never going to see the return of the nuclear family. I don't believe we will see that. It doesn't mean that there can't be something equally as informative and instructional. But we have to take responsibility for ourselves. We have to take responsibility for our progeny. We have to take responsibility for our family. And we have to take responsibility for the future of this great country. And the only way to do that is to live a life that is honest, that is lived with integrity and honor, and thought, and kindness and compassion.
Bravo, Lieutenant.
Bravo. Welcome to...
That's what my website, The Power of Legacy, and my book is all about. It's about showing that there are people that believe, there are people that are inspiring others every single day. And we all have that power. That's the most important thing, you guys. The power of legacy is the power to change lives. And we all have that power. We merely need to use it.
Welcome to Voices of Global Freedom Radio. Tips, information when we're not on the air, 619-354-3665, 619-354-3665. This is Backpack and Yoda. We're broadcasting with Lieutenant Randy Sutton, who is the national spokesperson. He is with the American Council on Public Safety, defendingtheshield.org. And this is part 2 of a series that we've got, really talking about depolicing. And Lieutenant Randy Sutton, you mentioned you're working on a new article. Please tell our audience more about that.
Well, this is an article that's called Perfect Policing, -- the Impossible Dream.
I love it.
I say that tongue-in-cheek, if you will, because the expectations of our nation's police by the public that we serve is unrealistic. Let's look at the characteristics that we expect of our police. And
Mm-hmm.
I expect them to be people of impeccable integrity. I expect them to be courageous, both physically, emotionally, and morally. I expect them to act with kindness. I expect them to show compassion. Well, you know what? That's a mighty tall order for a job that pays on the average of $53,000 a year. And I'm not sure that St. Teresa could fulfill all of those obligations. And yet that is what we expect of our police. So when an incident occurs where they don't fulfill our expectations, when we see them act, well, let's call them, how about like a human, and they lose their temper, or they give in to a temptation, well, we then expect very swift and very harsh judgment. And unfortunately, no one is capable of all of those characteristics 24/7. I don't think you'll find it in the church. I don't think you'll find it in the synagogue. I don't think you'll find it in the mosque. I don't think you'll find it in the halls of Washington. And I don't think you'll find it, well, anywhere. But that being said, these are ordinary men and women doing an extraordinary job. And we have to treat them with the same compassion and the same understanding that we would treat members of our own family. And that's why the perfect police officer is the impossible dream.
That was profound, good Lieutenant. We're gonna excerpt that and run it up on our sister magazine, magnifiedview.com. Question for you. What are your thoughts about 2 versus 1 man cars?
I have done both. I have, there are good and bad about both. Well, let's start with the way it used to be, a sort of little historical perspective. And 2-man cars used to be the norm in a lot of urban areas. And the thought was that 2 officer cars will be more effective, that they can back each other up, that they can handle twice the work. And that was the thinking, that there was, especially for officer safety issues. Surprisingly, research revealed that it's just the opposite. Research has revealed that police officers are actually safer when they are by themselves because they are more conscious of the dangers that surround them, and they don't falsely believe that their partner is going to see everything. They have to be more aware of themselves. So, with that being said, there are times when you have to have a backup. And so getting the sufficient amount of people on the street is essential. And there are calls, of course, where you simply don't go in by yourself. There are times when 2 officer cars should be utilized. For instance, when the unrest is taking place in a city like Baltimore, you double up the officers because there's simply too much of a chance of physical assault in that environment. For regular patrol,